game as an art form, this has been a topic for years and many years to come. Due to its interactivity, many said it is the future of storytelling. It is often compared to filmmaking due to its process and elements, from cinematic cutscenes, color, grading, production design, and story. Let us talk about a recently released game that has the same filmmaking elements combined all together, the remake of Silent Hill 2. Before we get into the game, we will define the three things from film that Silent Hill 2 maximizes for its gamers. First, symbolism. It is a concrete object, sound, place, and action that represents an idea that appears only once in a story. Second, motif. A symbolism that is repeated all over again. Lastly, a theme is an abstract idea or subject an author or artist wants to explore. The two things that I mentioned earlier, symbolism and motif, are linked to the theme as a whole. Getting back to the topic, and yes, this is one long game, we should focus on just one specific level of it, the Labyrinth. The Labyrinth is a place in the game where James' mind works and finally accepting his shadow. In film literacy, we divided it into the 5-act structure, which we can relate also to the 5 stages of grief by Kubler-Ross. First, exposition, the hanged man puzzle. Denial. Next is the rising action where we encounter the abstract daddy. Anger. Third, climax, our journey to the labyrinth. Bargaining. The fourth part, falling action, the fight with Eddie. Depression. Lastly, the resolution, the journey to the quote and unquote special place. Acceptance. Here we go, the first part, the hangman puzzle. Before getting into the hangman puzzle, James first will jump into a series of holes, a motif in this level, meaning we are going deeper into his subconsciousness, an entry to his mind. Also, we have to find different ways to unlock the lever to achieve this puzzle, a motif of James' burden and his crime. In this puzzle, we have to match the corresponding phrases to determine who is not guilty in it. In this cutscene, we foreshadow his guilt about the murder of his wife in his hands. It also symbolizes the acceptance of his denial. If you got it correct, we are going further to James' dark unconscious mind, where we meet also the unconscious mind of Angela and her torturer, the abstract daddy. Take note, this is the beginning of the labyrinth level, and we have to imagine the psyche of Angela. Way worse than this version of James. It symbolizes the physical and sexual trauma of Angela from her father. The holes also in this level are a motif: penetration, the repeated abuse that Angela experiences. The only saving grace that we can see in this level is the closet where she hid when her father was looking for her. Red is the dominant color here, which represents the second stage, anger, which we can also get from the reaction of Angela after defeating the monster. After beating the abstract daddy, we can now go further into James' Labyrinth, where we encounter Maria. Maria is a motif of James' dead wife, a different and more sexualized version of it. We also encounter different repeating motifs of monsters in this level. The lying figure, meaning how James felt trapped in the final years of Mary and her sickness. Next is the mannequin, often killed and abused by the pyramid head, which represents James killing Mary and his sexual frustration. Another one is the bobblehead nurse, covered nose and mouth, represents James' suppressed memory of him, smothering Mary on her deathbed, and again, his sexual repression due to the nurse's revealing uniform. Mandrian, meaning James feeling trapped, wanting to escape, his anguish and feeling of hopelessness. And of course, the pyramid head, James' guilt and desire wants him to accept the truth. The level design also reflects James' broken mind, prostrated and literally in debris, that is now working, from the rotating cube which reflects the many faces of James, and green as the dominant color which reflects the stage of bargaining. Bargaining in a sense of James wants to take his life back again. Another one, jumping down into the void, going deeper into his subconsciousness, using the great knife to go further. James is literally the pyramid head. Lastly, the cemetery and his grave. In the back of his mind, he deserved to die because of what he did to Mary. The fourth part is where we meet Eddie at the end of the labyrinth. Here we see a bloody door, which symbolizes Eddie's killing spree and rampage, a facade of anger. Through it, we can see the clone of James, dead and lying on the ground, where Eddie kills James over and over and over again in his version of Silent Hill. In retaliation, James will fight him in a large freezer where we encounter three symbolisms of Eddie. First, the frozen meat, meaning Eddie's physical appearance, an overweight individual. The freezer, which translates to Eddie's lack of remorse for his actions. And lastly, Eddie's relation to James reading the lines of his dialogue.
You, me, We're the same. We're not like other people, don't you know that?
We can relate the stage of depression through the colors of Eddie's clothes and the area where we fought him. Him and James is almost the same, depressed and alone in this town that reflects their selves. Finally, the resolution after the grueling and frustrating horror of James' mind. We can conclude that he is ready for the next step. He is now well equipped and ready to face the truth. Acceptance, where the lighthouse lies. He will now go to their special place where everything lies beneath. The calm before the storm, or so they say. In the end, video games are one of the mediums that continue to evolve through their storytelling, interaction, and framework. Video game as an art, through symbolism, motifs, and themes, I leave your own understanding of the story to it. And yes, this game is one of the primary examples of it. For the stories that will be told, yes, we are ready.